Are you pregnant and planning to go on maternity leave? Are you planning to get pregnant in future and wonder how you can financially plan for your maternity leave? In this video, I'm going to be sharing all my tips on how to best financially plan for maternity leave. Hi guys, my name is Sisi and I'm a Ugandan medical doctor working in the UK, and I am a mom of 3 and I'm currently on maternity leave with my third and final baby, and I think it's such a beautiful, amazing time that you have, and I'm so grateful. And I feel like having financial worries can really mess that up. Like, I can't imagine like having like extreme financial worries. Well, probably I'll just go back to work. But I wanted to just share all my tips because I've done this 3 times. Well, I've had 3 kids, but with my first, I was actually a student doing my MSc in London, and so I had no maternity leave or maternity pay, and it was quite difficult. That was really tough time. With my second was my best financially planned for pregnancy, and it was great. And then with my third, I tried to plan as much as I could, but then life got in the way. And what I mean by life getting in the way is that my pregnancy got quite complicated, so I kind of got a bit, I wasn't able to like do as much financially, but I'm still super grateful. And if you want to know more about my complicated pregnancy and birth vlog and all that, I'll link a playlist up here. You can go have a look at that. The first step is to determine when is the best time to try and conceive in order to try and get the maximum maternity pay. So I know you cannot entirely plan everything, and you can't always know because you never know how it's going to go. You never know if you're going to have any difficulties with fertility and all that. In terms of for you, what you can do is decide when you can start trying. So you want to be watching this video here that I'll link up here, in which I talked about the best time to try and conceive to get all the maximum pay. And this really the first thing is that try not to be getting pregnant before you start the job if you can. Although if you have gotten pregnant, then it's fine, it's going to be fine, don't worry too much about it. I made another video about how to survive and have a baby on a budget, which I've done before, and I will link that also below so you can go and watch that. The first thing you want to do is be doing locum shifts. So do as many locum shifts as you can, ideally prior to getting pregnant, to bulk up your savings, because you're going to need loads of savings. You're going to need loads of money to top up. There's going to be months where you get absolutely nothing, and then you're going to have months where you're getting like £1,000 less than your regular salary. So you want to be doing as many locum shifts as you can in order to get enough savings, and try and do this before you're pregnant, because when you do get pregnant, then a lot of times you don't know how it's going to go. So for me, I remember there was a period where I was super low on energy, I was so tired, and then at some point my pregnancy was even high risk, so even if I had wanted to, I couldn't do extra shifts. So that's my second tip. The next tip is to know your monthly budget. You want to know how much money do you need as a family, how much can actually sustain you. You need to know how much you need to know how much you need to top up. So for instance, as an example, my salary that I've mentioned before is around maybe £3,200, but I don't need all that every month. So before I went off on maternity leave, actually, we use about 2,800 maximum, like to have a comfortable life really. And then we're taking off £400 for each of our ISAs. That was on our family of 4. And if you want another video explaining about my expenses breakdown, let me know in the comments below. That's the first thing, is you want to know how much money you need. So if, for example, you need £2,500 as a family, or let's say you need £3,000 as a family, and there's going to be months where you're earning £2,000 only from your maternity pay, then that means you need £1,000 for that month, and then the next month you get £2,000 as well, then you need £1,000 extra for that month also. So if you calculate, then that can let you know how much you're going to need in bulk to cover up the extra that is not getting paid by the maternity pay. The next thing you want to do is to list down all your expenses. Oh, this is how you get a budget really, is to list down all your expenses, how much your rent is, your gas and electric, your telephone bills, that's for internet, your Wi-Fi, your water bills. You want to be listing everything. So for us, we also list our takeout. So we have takeout, and then we have money just for myself, do whatever I want. There's money that my husband also uses for just whatever he wants. And then there's swimming lessons. So basically you write all the expenses that you have, and then also add miscellaneous, because there's going to be something that comes up always in your budget for maternity leave. You want to have miscellaneous or any other business, because something always comes up, and you want to be planning for that also in advance. The next thing is to have an extras budget. So an extras budget is, yes, miscellaneous, but also there's this huge thing that come up only annually. So for instance, for me, that's my GMC fees that's due in January for me, and then there's TV license that's due in January, and there's car insurance, which for us is due in June. So you have these huge major things that are paid annually, That's if you pay annually. So you want to be planning for them and save up the money for those things, because remember, in the year that you take off maternity leave, you still have to pay these things. So for me personally, I actually had to end up switching my GMC to be monthly because it was too much. Like January was becoming a very heavy month where there was too much that's being taken off. So just ask for that to be split, to be paid monthly. So maybe you can consider that as well. If you realize that actually it might be too much and you're not able to maybe save up all that money at once, then you can also ask to also put maybe your car insurance or other things to be put them on monthly, spread out the cost. I would advise to have multiple accounts. So I have so many accounts. Have multiple accounts for different things, because that way then if you don't have like access to the money easily, you're not going to touch it. That's if you struggle with like maybe willpower and financial discipline. Personally, I do not. I'm very good with money and it's not difficult for me. But even then, still, I still have maternity pay expenses like separately. I have like extras, like maybe car insurance and TV license and all those huge things. I have them in a separate account. And then I have several accounts really. I made another video of different accounts that I have, and I think that you should have too. And I'll link that up here. The next thing you want to do is ask Payroll for a forecast. Your forecast will be different. I've made a video on my own exact month by month maternity pays. It will be different for you. So do ask your Payroll, because it's going to really be able to help you to plan. You don't have to be pregnant to do this. You can just tell them to give you theoretically. And if you're pregnant, it's even better in that you tell them from this month when you plan to take maternity leave, then they'll give you an exact forecast. That can really help you with planning. If you like this video up to this point, please give it a thumbs up. That really helps support my channel, because that helps it spread to more people apparently for the algorithm. Do go ahead and do like the video if you like it. Thanks guys. The next thing is to consider what can you cut down. Like, you're going to be off maternity leave for only a short period, like in the grand scheme of things, but then there's going to be like, for me personally, I'd rather have the time I'm spending with my baby than to maybe go back to work earlier. So I have to cut out a few things. So for me personally, what's not compulsory that I decided to cut out was my investments. I stopped my direct debit to stocks and shares ISAs. So that's around £400 a month that's cut off, because that's what we do for, because we obviously now we have 3 kids, but when we had 4 kids, each of us has £100 going to our stocks and shares ISAs per month. So that's cut out. And then we also cut out our takeout. That's kind of painful. Our takeout budget was cut, and that was £80 a month. And then also I had to cut out also my money for just my own stuff, which was like just whatever I feel like. We had to cut that out. For you, it might be different. Some things are non-negotiable, and obviously keep those things in. But if there's something that you feel like actually this is the luxury I can do without that, then you have to be considering what you can cut out, because you're going to be having a reduced pay coming up. The next thing is to consider a zero interest credit card. I don't like to use credit personally, but there's moments that you need credit that it can help you. So for me, I consider that I would rather take out credit. Like if it got that bad, thankfully I haven't needed to take credit. But if I felt like maybe it was getting so bad and yet I don't want to go back to work, I would consider getting a zero interest credit card. So ideally do get that before you need it. So I do have a credit card, but I haven't used it yet. But I have it just in case, because I'd rather get some maybe low interest. Consider that, getting a zero interest credit card before you get on maternity leave, just in case. Also on that note, also have an arranged overdraft. So I also have an arranged overdraft, which I very rarely use, but you want to have that, because if you ever end up going into an unarranged overdraft, the interest rates are even higher. So rather get it arranged than not. And also it can affect your credit score negatively if you're having unarranged overdrafts all the time, guys. So as long as you pay back on time, then it's not going to affect your credit score negatively. If you want to know other ways to help out on improving your credit score, then I made another video on that, which I will link up here and also down below. The next thing is to consider saving up your annual leave. So before you're getting off to maternity leave, if you're able to, then try and save your annual leaves as much as possible. So for me, I try not to use my annual leaves at all. So before I got off maternity leave for this particular pregnancy, I'd only used 7 days, which is when I traveled to Uganda before, like in that last year. And so I have all my around 20 days of annual leave, and 20 days annual leave is a lot, because 20 days annual leave is like nearly 2 calendar months, because remember it's only the Monday to Friday that they count and not the weekend. So save up your annual leaves, so if you're able to, because that's going to help you financially, because the period of annual leave that you take after maternity leave is going to be paid at 100%, and so that really helps, guys. The next thing is to consider what really the baby essentials are. Like, what does a baby really need? So for my second baby, I remember going overboard. I went overboard. She had a Moses basket for the bedroom. She had a little cot for the living room. She had a playing mat just for playing, a baby swing for swinging. She had a bouncer chair. This is all just for entertainment from the age 0 to 3 months. I went overboard. And that's because I think I had worked so many locum shifts. Like I really felt financially prepared. Like I had a huge budget for just like a baby stuff. But at the end of the day, most of the things were really unnecessary. In the end, the older child at the time was the one playing with the things, and then it caused a lot of clutter. The whole place got full of baby stuff. And yeah, it wasn't really necessary. If you want to know more tips on how to have a baby on a budget, then watch this video next, in which I explain all my top tips on how to have a baby on a budget. Because remember, I've done it as well for my very first one, where it was really tight financially, and still we survived, and we lived in London at that time.